Good evening and welcome to the May 25th regular City Council meeting. We're glad that you all are here. Let me kind of explain the overall agenda now that we're calling this to order. Is that we will have a consent agenda. We will then have an action item with an approval on a budget. We have a, we'll be looking at a public hearing, an action item, and then there will be unscheduled appearances at that particular point. So with that, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Harkey,
Present.
Vice Mayor Orlando,
Here.
Councilmember Encinas,
Present.
Councilmember Ellis,
Here.
Councilmember Stewart,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Councilmember Poston.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Our invocation tonight will be brought by Pastor Victor Hardy of the Congregational Church of the Valley, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Jane Poston. Pastor.
Let us pray. I've got so much to thank God for. So many wonderful blessings and so many open doors. A brand new mercy along each and every day. That's why I praise you. And for this I give you praise. For every mountain you brought me over. For every trial you've seen me through. For every blessing, hallelujah. For this I give you praise. For every mountain you brought me over. For every trial you've seen me through. For every blessing, and hallelujah, for this I give you praise. For every mountain you brought me over. For every trial you've seen me through. For every blessing, and hallelujah, for this I give you praise. In the Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, next on our agenda tonight is the consent agenda. I do have one speaker card on item number 15. That's our action item. Would anyone like any item removed to action? For any recusals or questions? If not, motion would be in order. Councilmember Ellis.
I would like to make a motion that we accept this regular agenda,
Consent agenda.
this consent agenda tonight. I'll start it with number proposed move to approve the consent agenda of May 25th, 2023 regular meetings items 1 through 14.
Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Ellis, a second by Councilmember Harris. Council, please vote.
Councilmember Encinas,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Very good. Next on our agenda is item number 15, and we'll start with someone's making a brief presentation, I believe. All right.
Mayor, this is the budget item, I believe.
Yeah.
Not the EMSD.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Come up in a minute.
Yeah.
I was wondering why Kim was coming up there. So.
I'm so sorry.
That was Matt's joke.
I thought, oh, we're expanding her abilities. I've never seen Kim do that one before.
I'm so excited.
All
I
right,
was
Matt.
excited too. Like, sweet.
Matt.
Mayor and Council, it's a privilege to be before you this evening to talk about the tentative adoption of the budget for fiscal year 23-24 and our 24 to 2033 capital improvement program. Tonight we have some good information to share with you and with the residents of Chandler about our budget. First off, I'd like to start out by talking about the statutory budget process that we go through. So we have very specific requirements under Arizona revised statutes that allow us to process or go through our budget process, excuse me. We adopt a tentative budget that sets forth the different amounts that will be required to meet our needs from a public expense for the fiscal year. We enter that into the minutes. We prepare our forms that are required by the Auditor General's Office of the state of Arizona. And then we publish all of our information on the website for public review. And then once tentative adoption happens, the budget cannot increase from that point on. So if the tentative budget is approved tonight, it won't be changed until the adopted budget. Between that time period, it won't change. It can go down, but it cannot increase. After tentative adoption, a public hearing is held, and we have a public hearing on the tax levy as well, and that's set for June 15th. And then we hold a special meeting after that public hearing to adopt the actual budget. And then final adoption of the tax levy will be on June 29th. So to talk about the proposed budget, this year, as in all years, we have a theme surrounding our budget. And our theme this year is innovation at work. And I wanted to share just a little bit about how we came up with that theme. Actually, it was kind of it kind of came to me one day. I was at Tumbleweed Rec Center, and I saw somebody doing something that was completely innovative, at least in my mind. And so from that experience, innovation at work happened. And what I saw was someone on the treadmill, and I've been on treadmill a lot, and he was using the Pringles holder for a water bottle. And I thought, that is innovation right there. I never thought of that before. It's just a Pringles holder. So our total budget this year, though, for our innovation at work is $1.6 billion, $1.66 billion.
Matt, I kept waiting for a punchline.
There really isn't one in that one. I mean,
Okay.
It's just a unique experience to find that
Okay.
innovation. Our general fund total is about $610 million for this coming fiscal year. Overall, about a 22.5% increase. $800 million increase in operating, about a 5.9% increase. And then $856 million increase in capital, which is the vast majority of the increase to the budget, 43.4%. If you were to carve out just the general fund piece, we have a 23.8% increase in the general fund, 483 million of that in the operating, and 128 million in the capital side. Some things to note about the budget. It does adhere to financial policies. Those policies are set by mayor and council, and they allow us to make sure we're structurally balanced. They allow us to maintain AAA bond ratings. Those financial policies give us guidance and direction to make sure that the fiscal stability of the city of Chandler is maintained. We use strategic framework to guide our decisions. It provides for cost-effective quality services, and we're going to talk about some of the services that we are providing and the cost effectiveness that the city of Chandler maintains. It maintains our long-term financial sustainability. We engaged residents through input opportunities. We had a budget survey, which was very successful this year. We had a kickoff meeting with mayor and council, 2 workshops. We recently had our all-day budget briefing, and then we have our tentative and then final adoption next month. Some of the things or the drivers in our current budget, or the proposed budget, excuse me, of why it might be increasing. First off, revenues are increasing. We have increased revenues to reflect the actual economic conditions that we're seeing in our local economy. Increases are coming from continued development, inflation, and strong consumer spending, as well as increased state shared revenues with updated projections. On the expenditure side, as many residents of the city of Chandler can attest, inflation has been an issue over the last many months, and inflation has also been felt here at the city of Chandler. So we have increases to operating and capital budgets because of that. Personnel costs are increasing to not only invest in the city workforce and retain employees, but also to add some additional services with additional employees in the new fiscal year. From a capital projects perspective, we continue to address aging infrastructure, add in those authorized projects from the bond authorization that was recently passed, and our grant-funded projects. And then infrastructure projects to support the Intel expansion. For fiscal year 22-23, it's about $148 million. Some of that will be carried forward in the new year, as well as an additional $30.5 million for new infrastructure projects in the new year. From a grants perspective, it includes about $20 million in ARPA funds in the 23-24 budget as carry forward, as those dollars continue to be spent on programs and services, and a continued focus on grant opportunities and having shovel-ready projects that may qualify for additional grants as they come available during the next fiscal year. Now, one thing that's driving potential debt or potential increases down in future years is an increase in what we're paying off from a debt perspective. We have additional one-time payment of $73 million to pay off, essentially, our public safety pension obligation, that unfunded liability that's been on many councils' minds for many years. And the city of Chandler has done an excellent job in planning to be able to make a hopefully one-time final payment on that unfunded liability portion. On this slide, we can see the total annual proposed budget from where the money comes from, as well as where the money goes. As you can see from where the money comes from, we have a variety of revenue sources here at the city of Chandler. Primarily this fiscal year or coming fiscal year, fund balance will be a major source of revenue. So we have additional fund balance that we'll be tapping into not only for those carry forward projects from the capital side, but for other projects moving forward in the capital plan. We have local taxes, we have grant funding. This year we'll be issuing bonds, so $209 million of that is anticipated bond sales. We do an evaluation closer to when we actually sell the bonds to ensure that what the total dollar value is that we need for that sale. So it may come in less during the fiscal year, but that's the anticipated bond sale. We also have utility charges for our enterprise funds. We have other charges for services, fees and services. We have state shared revenues, property tax, and system development fees. On the where the money goes portion of the slide, it shows the breakout between operating and capital and some other reserves and contingencies and debt service that we have within the city. As you'll notice, department operating is the largest portion of that when you break it out individually. But if you were add together the carry forward for major capital as well as the new major capital, capital is driving the majority of the budget. Over half of the budget is capital related, whether it be carry forward from the current year projects that haven't finished or new projects in the next fiscal year. From some operating budget highlights. This year, the city has reduced the property tax rate for the 8th consecutive year through direction from mayor and council. We also have no change to the transaction privilege tax rates, which is good news for our residents. We do anticipate some water, wastewater, and solid waste rate changes to continue to move towards cost of service recommendations and ensure those enterprise funds are fully funding themselves. The budget also maintains existing service levels and enhances programs tied to the strategic framework. We've added funding for our labor association obligations or commitments, and also general employee merit and market to maintain our workforce. It does plan towards that debt reduction that we've talked about recently here, the $73 million in one-time funding to essentially pay that off. And that's a significant payment. The last 2 years, we've been able to make these substantial payments to virtually eliminate that debt. And then we also continue to maintain strong reserves, including a 15% general fund contingency reserve and a $20 million budget stabilization reserve, which allows us to maintain a strong financial focus going into the future. It also helps us maintain that AAA bond rating as we meet with rating agencies whenever we issue debt. They'd like to see a stable government, one with contingencies and reserves set up to make sure that we are planning for any decrease in the economic activity in our area. When we talk about the costs associated with the services Chandler residents receive, we do look at a comparison that the city of Tempe provides each year. We'll get an updated cost comparison in probably August of this year. And this is based on last year's estimate, but it really shows kind of the total cost a household in the city of Chandler can expect to pay for government services: water, wastewater, solid waste, property taxes, and the sales tax that help fund general operations of the city. As you see, the city of Chandler is the lowest cost for each household in the state, for all the valley cities anyway. At $1,754 is our average anticipated cost on an annual basis for a household in the city of Chandler.
Matt, got a
Yes.
question on that.
Mhm.
So just wanted to, you said something I just want to kind of highlight. So you said this is going to be updated in August. So these are the current of other cities, but this is our real numbers. And the other cities will only increase at that point, correct?
Mayor, that's correct. So this shows our anticipated rate changes in the current fiscal year, but it does not reflect any rate changes for the other communities until those are set by their mayors and council.
So our numbers will really be starkly even lower than the others when this is said and done.
Mayor, that's correct. From what we're hearing from other valley cities, especially on the utility side, their water, wastewater rates are growing at a much larger percentage than ours are. So that will create more of a difference between what our residents are paying and other residents for the services provided.
And that's really because of really great planning for decades at this point that has allowed us to handle these expenses and the costs of water and wastewater in a much more efficient manner.
Yeah, Mayor, that's exactly right. Through years of planning from councils before, including this council, great department directors guiding through that process to ensure that our infrastructure is maintained, that we don't have, large facilities needed all of a sudden, from the budget staff, making sure that our rates are ratcheted up slowly and surely to ensure fund balance is there to pay for all the projects and upcoming infrastructure needs. All of those things play into allowing that rate to remain so low.
Thank you.
When you break out, speaking of water and wastewater and solid waste specifically, again, this shows what Chandler, with our anticipated rate increases in the next year, would look like compared to existing Valley City rates. We maintain the lowest rates for those enterprise services. Moving on to talk about some of the capital improvement highlights. The capital budget for the 10-year capital plan for 2024 to 2033 is $1.96 billion, about $299 million more than the 23 to 32 CIP. That update does reflect inflationary pressures. We've mentioned that already once, how inflation has impacted. Speaking from a capital perspective, inflation has really hit hard anything with steel, concrete, asphalt, and labor. And when you put those four ingredients together, you get a capital plan. So just about every capital program that we do has those main inflated articles in it. So we have had to reflect those inflationary pressures on our projects. We do have an increased focus or continue to focus on that aging infrastructure, as we've mentioned. Additional analysis has gone in this year to ensure that aging infrastructure has been taken care of or planned out for the next 10 years. And there's still more work to do, but for the most part, the city is on target to make sure that we're ensuring quality infrastructure for residents now and into the future. And then additionally, we have those projects that are supporting our Intel expansion, the partners with Intel. Bond authorization longevity has been shortened though by inflation. So we recently went out to the voters for authorization need, and with some of those projects coming in higher due to inflation, we anticipated about 7 years of authorization before we needed to go back out to voters, and that has been reduced down to about 5 years. So, and then depending on how bond rates come in, how if costs are able to come down, that may shift out, but we will be we'll be watching that closely over the next few years.
Matt, another question. So that large number in there for the Intel, even though it's part of our budget, that's a reimbursement from Intel, right? So that's not taxpayer expenses, but we have to account for it of all things spent in our budget, even if we're being reimbursed, correct?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Mayor. Thank you for bringing that up. For that partnership, Intel and as well as a tax rebate for infrastructure through the state of Arizona is what's paying for that. Although we do provide the investment in that infrastructure projects, so we have to have the authorization to spend it. It is reimbursed back to the city from those two partnerships with the state as well as with Intel.
Thank you.
All right, so for the proposed budget only adopts or authorizes spending for the first year of the capital plan. Years 2 through 10 are then adjusted every year, and only the new year is what's appropriated. So this talks about just the appropriation for the new fiscal year, and a total of $856.5 million of appropriation for capital needs. Of that, we have a small reserve, $450,000. And then between capital carry forward, almost $500 million, and new funding, $360 million. So this is the first year since I've been with the city that we've had capital carry forward exceeding our new funding for capital programs. A lot of that has to do with long lead items, the delays in the supply chain, as well as just finding labor to go in and get the work done. So we have a lot of these projects that are a little slower on the uptake, if you will, to get to completion. That brings us to kind of our final slide here, key budget dates. So tonight, we are talking about the tentative budget adoption and CIP. On June 15th is that public hearing for not only the budget, but also the tax levy. And then we'll have a special meeting to adopt the final budget. And then on June 29th will be the adoption of the final tax levy for property tax purposes. So for your consideration tonight, Resolution 5694 approves the tentative budget. Again, once that is approved, the budget cannot increase. It can only decrease from this point forward. And I do want to point out that there is additional information on our website, chandleraz.gov/budget, where you can get the entire budget, proposed budget, as well as the entire CIP, proposed CIP documents, and a lot of other information. So if residents would like to go out and see exactly, all the details of the budget, they're out there for them to review. Any questions can come to my office, and our contact information is on that website as well. And with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to you for any questions.
Thank you. Just related to the budget and transportation, I did have a question for City Manager. So in this budget, there is no money that is, I know we've got the bike project that is not going to be reducing lanes. It's going to be putting bike lanes on the side, but there is, we've got a number of folks here that are quite interested in transportation. Is there any money in this budget, or what's the timeline of future budgets that you would see related to the concept of bus rapid transit, and what would be the process if indeed future council members decide that they want to do that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the question. First, let me be clear, there's nothing in the budget before you tonight that includes any sort of removal of lanes from any roads or what's been termed a road diet. None of the projects in your budget reflect that. In fact, quite the opposite. You have quite a bit of arterial road construction that is still going on throughout Southeast Chandler, particularly where you're actually adding lanes. In fact, I think you have some other speakers tonight that are going to talk about adding lanes on Ocotillo Road. So actually, there's nothing that would reflect any sort of road diet in the budget. Same goes for BRT, bus rapid transit. There are no projects in your 10-year capital plan that reflect a project of that nature. I think where that notion comes from, there is a regional transportation plan that MAG has put together where one of the recommendations could be for a bus rapid transit system, but that would not be able to be funded or even discussed until 2045. So 22 years from now would be the soonest you could even really talk about that. And again, that's not something that you're locked into. There's no requirement that the city adopt that recommendation. There are other alternatives the city could consider. And certainly a lot can change between now and 2045 when it comes to transportation. So there is nothing in this budget that reflects any of those items.
It's similar to, light rail. we had conversations and we did studies that looked at bringing light rail, and some members on this council, or at least two of us, and as well as previous members, decided that that was not a plan that we wanted to pursue. And any future things related to that would alter the roads or specifically dedicate something, that would be a conversation in the future that council would initiate, whether MAG makes a recommendation or not, and as well as, and the process, what would be the process, even if 10, 20 years from now, this conversation starts.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of council, just as it took many public hearings and tons of public input to even get to where they are now, there would be a bunch more of that between now and 2045. So you're a long way, and a lot of public conversations and additional study and research before you would ever get to that point.
Okay. Council, any questions? I did have one speaker card related to this, but any questions for Matt or anything related to this budget?
Mayor.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you. This is the tentative adoption, so I'm going to hold my comments about the final adoption. I've got a little bit more research I want to do with Josh, but we will have an opportunity to kind of talk about this budget a little bit more in our final adoption meeting versus tonight. Is that safe to say, Mayor?
It'll be an agenda item again.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no questions, let me bring up our one speaker. Thank you, Matt. Janet Eckerman, if you'd please come forward, state your name and address for the record. You have up to 3 minutes. The light will be green when it turns yellow. If you'd please wrap up, and when it's red, then your time is over. State your name and address for the record, though, ma'am.
Hello, thank you, Mayor and City Council, for this opportunity. My name is Janet Ackerman. My address is, do you want the full address or?
Sure.
6320 North 16th Street, Phoenix, Arizona, 85016.
Phoenix, okay.
I'm here today just to give you the perspective that I have as someone who uses the light rail and uses public transportation. I used to use it for daily commuting to work and riding the bus. And I'm really I'm opposed to these the plans for road diets in the future. I'm probably not going to be around here in 20 years from now, so I want to give you my testimony now. I think it's the big issue that I have with light rail and the bus in Arizona, in Phoenix, is that just the summer heat. I was sitting at a bus stop waiting like at 6 o'clock at night to take the bus home. It was 115 degrees outside. I had to call an ambulance to go to the emergency room because I was suffering with heat exhaustion. That's not the only time that I've been taking public transit in the summer. So it's just the idea that we are going to convert from our air-conditioned cars to public transit during the summer months is, whether it's the bus, or light rail, or whatever. It's the time that you're spending outdoors waiting for that transportation that creates a health problem for people. And I was reading on the BRT plan site, and they were saying that, well, it's going to be faster because they'll make fewer stops. But the problem with fewer stops is that means you have to walk further to your destination. So it's basically going to cut off all business and in those areas between the stops. People just aren't going to come. The other issue I have is that I think cutting down the roadways down to a single lane Unless there's a dedicated lane for buses, you're going to have congestion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That was the only card related to, I guess, transportation, which is part of our budget. Council, at this point, a motion would be in order.
Mayor,
Our conversation. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I move City Council pass and adopt resolution number 5694, adopting the FY 2023-24 tentative budget and the 2024 to -2033 tentative CIP, and giving notice of the dates and times for the hearing, taxpayers for final adoption of the budget, and the setting of the tax levies and the tax rates.
Second.
So we've got a motion by Vice Mayor, a second by Councilmember Ellis. Council, please vote.
Councilmember Encinas,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
All right. Thank you. Next on our agenda is Kim Moyer. So excited to share on this public hearing and action item number 16, having to do with our annual assessment for our downtown Chandler Enhanced Municipal Services District. Kim, we're so excited to hear what you've got to say.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, Mayor. Get this started. Okay. Mayor, Council, tonight I'm here to present the fiscal year 23-24 Enhanced Municipal Services District Annual Assessment. The EMSD was created in 2005 and is now in its 18th year and covers 61.4 acres. An Enhanced Municipal Services District is formed to provide city services up and beyond typical city services. Such services include safety, beautification, marketing and promotion, and professional management and communication. These services are provided by the Downtown Chandler Community Partnership, the DCCP, through an annual contract with the city that we will bring back next month for possible approval. And with that, I would like to call up Rebecca Hill, the Executive Director, to highlight a few of the EMSD services provided by the DCCP last year.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks, Mr. Mayor, council members, for the time tonight. Quickly, my name is Rebecca Hill, and I am the new Executive Director for the DCCP. I would just like to take a few minutes to talk about our mission, our board of directors, and then a brief overview of our services, as Kim mentioned. Our mission statement is the Downtown Chandler Community Partnership is a 501c6 not-for-profit corporation whose mission is to mobilize leadership and resources to advance the development of downtown Chandler as a regional destination for shopping, dining, living, culture, and the arts. Our board of directors include downtown business owners, property owners, and developers, all of them owning businesses that we know and love here in downtown. The DCCP services includes management to provide board meetings, stakeholder meetings, strategic plans, sustainability, budgets, and building partnerships. Events are one of the more visual services that we provide, including the farmers market. And with an intentional focus over the last 6 months, the farmers market has grown in vendors and in attendance. The Chandler's Farmers Market has been nominated for the top 3 markets in Arizona through the Best of the Desert 2023 from AZ Central. Other events include the Wedding Walk, which highlighted San Marcos, Hilton, Soho 63, Chandler Pops, and various restaurants that may be a good fit for rehearsal dinners and brunch the next morning. Continuing on, Small Business Saturday, various pub crawls, and creating great partnerships allows us to host Fine Arts and Wine Festival, Beer, Bourbon, and Barbecue, Oktoberfest, all with the great partners from Santan and Pedal House Breweries. Another important pillar of our service is our marketing of downtown. We have more than 33,000 followers on our social media combined pages, and we have several thousands who subscribe to our monthly newsletter. And we create various campaigns throughout the year to include Channel Your Chill, which will be released here in the next week or so, which includes a dive-in movie for families, stay and play campaigns to attract the leisure traveler and locals. In addition, we help all the business market their specials, services, and events. But we're more than just putting the word out on the street about what's happening in downtown Chandler. We're committed to the experience and welcoming of visitors. Placemaking such as planting flowers, placing the American flags, holiday lights and displays, rooftop lighting, and overall an inviting downtown. One of the most important and noticeable services we provide is the Clean Team. The purpose of the Clean Team is to ensure litter and garbage is picked up, graffiti is removed and or reported promptly, emptying trash cans, removing stickers and random flyers that end up on poles in the downtown, as well as emptying trash cans and wiping down the surfaces such as the park benches. And this person serves as a downtown ambassador. Again, all services over and above what the city is already committed to doing. We look forward to continuing to provide these services and so much more. We invite you to attend our upcoming annual meeting on June 8th for more information. Thank you for your time. Back to Kim.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
yeah, Rebecca,
Yes, sorry.
I just want to compliment you on your approach. You got a hold of the council members, city staff, stakeholders, and you really did a due diligence on where we're at, what the baseline is, and where we need to go. So I certainly appreciate that. And also, as you know, taking your input, obviously, we talked about arts and we talked about the trees, replanting some of the other stuff, and you'll see some of that in our budget to help supplement some of those activities. As you know, art is a big attraction. And as we expand in that area, we've given Kim some more additional dollars to work with us to get some more of those art walks that drive people down here in conjunction with our tourism dollars, which will give them something to do at our downtown. So I certainly appreciate your approach and the optimism and positive that you brought to this organization.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Orlando. I really appreciate the feedback and appreciate the opportunity to meet with the individual council members and also Mr. Mayor and staff for providing that insight and that feedback and, you know, trying to put some of those missing pieces together. And so I appreciate the feedback and we really appreciate the support and the hopeful dollars that will be coming soon. Thank you so much. Any other questions for me?
Mayor.
Additional council discussion. Vice Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And Kim, thanks for all the work you've been doing downtown. I know in basically the last 5 to 8 years, our downtown has become a tourism. It's a destination place for people to come. So we can get tax dollars from Gilbert and Tempe for, no, I'm just kidding. But people are coming to our downtown and it's because of what's being done at the DCCP and what the people on that board are doing to drive events and things like that. So it's a real fun place. And it's safe and it's vibrant, and we're just grateful for what you're doing. So thank you very much for the presentation and continuing forward.
Thank you, Councilmember Stewart. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Harris.
Just wanted to say, Rebecca, I got a chance to sit down with you, and I appreciate your professionalism, and I definitely appreciate Kim Moyers because she definitely knows downtown. She definitely knows what makes the city come alive, and I think with the partnership that we have with DCCP, being led by you and Kim Moyers, you guys are doing such a great job. But I will say this. I don't know how many times I get compliments about our downtown Chandler all the time. Like people like coming to downtown Chandler, and thank you for making it a clean, welcoming, warm, safe place for people to kind of come, live, hang out, and just, you know, if I can say this word, chill.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'll leave it at. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Harris.
I'd also echo that at our in January at our International Film Festival, we had a lot of folks coming in from across the nation and internationally. And what I heard again and again is that they felt safe. They felt that our people were friendly, that our city was clean. That really was most of their universe on that trip was just in our downtown and staying at the Hilton across from City Hall and just traversing back and forth. So that's the kind of comments and vibe we want to continue to build on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, Council, no further discussion. Is there any discussion from the audience related to
Mayor.
this public hearing?
She has a little.
Mayor, I got it.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're still going, yeah.
Mayor,
Keep
I
going, Kim.
apologize. We just need to finish the process for it to vote, if
Thank
that's
you.
okay. So just where we're at now. To further expand on the EMSD process, the assessment was authorized by the property owners in the district, with 100% of the assessment proceeds being paid by the district. The city council is the governing body who officially enables the district, and the district must be renewed every year. The annual steps are as follows. The step 1 is to set the rate by the council. The rate has remained the same since its inception in 2005. This year is the first year the DCCP requested a 5% increase that is allowed by the EMSD bylaws. As the largest property owner in the downtown, the DCCP also requested the council approve a 5% increase to our voluntary contribution, which would increase that contribution from $118,804 to $124,744. $124,744. On March 23rd, the council provided tentative assessment approval on that. Since then, we've had a published notice of hearing as required by ARS for 5 consecutive days before the hearing. The DCCP also mailed notices to all property owners in the district of their right to file an objection, and no objections have been received at this point. Tonight's the hearing, and then finally we'll be back on June 22nd for the possible approval of the contract with the DCCP to administer the Enhanced Municipal Services District. And with that, I'm finished unless you have any other questions.
Council, any questions on the EMSD process?
Mayor, quick question.
Vice Mayor.
Kim, again, thank you for the presentation yesterday. Did we pick up new members from last year this year? You know I ask that question every year, so right, I'm keeping tradition, okay?
Yes, we, through the mayor, vice mayor, yes, we did. For example, the Maple House, which will be opening up, that was a residential home. So as we convert that into commercial, that will be an additional assessment. Any expansions that we see would be that assessment as well. But the Maple House is the ones that you would know the
The most
most.
recent one, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
All right. Is there any discussion from the audience on the EMSD process or what is before us? Seeing none, I'd like to close our public hearing at that point. Thank you all. Item 17 is a resolution approving the fiscal year related to the Enhanced Municipal Services District. Council, I believe a motion would be in order.
Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I move that the city council pass and adopt resolution number 5692, approving the fiscal year 2023-2024 annual assessment for the city of Chandler, Arizona, downtown Chandler Enhancement Municipal Services District.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Councilmember Poston. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Council, please vote.
Councilmember Encinas?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great. Thank you, Council. Next on our agenda, public agenda here is unscheduled public appearances. We do have a few cards here. To those who desire to speak as an unscheduled item, we cannot engage you in terms of the public meeting process, but you'll have your time, and I ask that you please stick to that. I would ask that you do not repeat what's already been said. If you've got something new to bring, please share that. And if your comment is as simple as I agree with them, that's just as acceptable. Or if someone previously has said what you desire to share, you can also decline to speak at that point. So I've gotten a number of cards on 2 separate issues. First up is Mr. Clovis Hungate.
I apologize for the size of this.
Go big or go home, sir.
There you go. That's true. My name is Clovis Hungate, and thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm here before you regarding the property located on the Maricopa County Island. It's located on the northeast corner of Ocotillo and 140th. Due to a conflict, we are requesting the further work on that location and said project be suspended until the following issue is
Excuse me,
rectified.
sir. Matt, can you turn his thing around for us, please? Yeah.
I can turn that around.
All right. Keep going, sir.
Okay. uh, until the following issue was rectified, except for the repair of our irrigation valve that blew up on us by their construction. There was a temporary construction easement dated 9/11/20 that grants a 5-foot temporary, strictly temporary easement for the construction phase of the widening of Ocotillo Road. After that construction, the TCE is supposed to be reverted back to our property as our southern border and property. There, that borders on the Roosevelt Water District easement as well. The TCE has been surveyed and staked by MLC Services, showing the legal north side of that TCE. The MLC Services staked at the location of the vinyl fencing that was purchased, well, and replaced by Chandler. The thought on that is they said it was permanent and they replaced it, but they're telling us now that they need to tear that down. So the fence, and at their expense, and they're wanting to remove it. The vinyl fence is already located on the north side of that TCE. This allows Hayden Construction access to use that 5-foot easement. However, the fence was not installed in a straight line. It's at an angle all the way down 300 feet on our property. Doesn't look all that well. There's an inclusion of a block wall, which was part of the purchase agreement on our south easement line. Mr. Lissette with CEI said that the wall would be on our southern property line, which is the easement area there. Mr. Garcia with Chandler City Public Works and Utilities was there, and he agreed with that point that Mr. Lissette had made. But the wall is going to be at an angle as well, which on that corner, which is, like I said, 300 feet, it's going to be a lot different. This has been going on since 2016. We've had conflict information with several of the land agencies with Chandler and the info that they've been giving to us. I've talked to the city manager already tonight, and he'll be getting with us. Gotten to the point that it's hard to trust because the subject and the information has changed drastically over the last 7-8 years, to the point where it's happened one time in one day. It took place 4 different types of information.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And again, City Manager, you're going to be following up with Mr. Hungate?
Yes, Mayor, we had a conversation earlier tonight. We'll get a meeting for next week with Mr. and Mrs. Hungate.
Great, thank you. Next of our unscheduled public appearance is Janet Hu, and I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. Again, please state your name and address for the record, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Perfect, thank you. My name is Janet Ho, and I live at 21632 South 140th Street in Chandler, Arizona. Talking to you specifically on in addition to what Clovis was talking about, that is the Ocotillo widening project. We live off 140th Street between Lindsay and Gilbert. That is the only entrance to that entire neighborhood. We do not have a back area because that easement was closed by the Roosevelt District back in 1999. So we have not had another entrance out to that property. The agreement was made when the widening would happen that we would be able to continue to use a left turn lane onto 140th. They have closed that off, not just during construction hours, but non-construction hours. To get a fire truck into our neighborhood yesterday, they had to stop and move cones to get in, which is a safety issue. In addition to that, I cannot move my horse trailer with my horses in and out of that property with the cones. I must stop and move cones in order to make a right turn safely to move my horses out. There are about 150 houses back there. Multiple houses have horses, have cows, have sheep, have all kinds of property. Our garbage services have been blocked from getting in. And when the garbage trucks cannot get in, they do not come back. They leave and will come back the next time, which means we cannot have our poop removal, which is a problem. I get pellet and hay delivery by the squeeze every 10 days. They cannot get in at this point in time because they are blocked from making a left turn. The biggest and most critical issue, though, on top of all of that, the school buses now are dropping off on the south side of Chandler, and the kids are walking in front of the bus through the construction onto the other side. Because the bus is not stopping on that turn lane where they used to, the cars coming west are not stopping. And those kids are walking with no one supervising them through that street. On top of that, anyone coming from the west side has to make a U-turn to get into our property. Well, Lindsay is now blocked off on the right side, so you cannot safely make a U-turn on Lindsay. And there is construction going down in Greenfield, you cannot make a U-turn. So anyone coming in that needs to make a U-turn can't get into our property. So we're completely blocked. And we want to work with the city. We want to work to get this resolved, but it's a safety issue for our kids, for our property, for our animals right now. And so we need to work with you guys to get this resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. And city manager again? Okay, thank you. Our next unscheduled public appearance is, I'm just taking these in order I've got them, Jen Dixon. Again, if you please state your name and address for the record, you have up to 3 minutes to share your thoughts or concerns.
Hi, my name's Jean Dixon. I live at 625 North Hamilton, number 19 in Chandler, Arizona, 85225. I've lived here 18 years in Chandler. I moved here and decided I liked it, and I stayed. And I've seen lots of changes in Chandler, downtown Chandler, as well as all of Chandler. But the main thing I've seen, and it was brought to my attention, we're going to have a road diet, and that project is going to now make one-way streets, and there's going to be bus lanes in the middle of my section of Arizona Ave, which is where I go in and out to get to my complex. I saw this same kind of thing happen in Mesa, down in downtown Mesa, on Main Street when they put the light rail in, and they had construction for 3 years, and most of those businesses went out of business because people couldn't get there. And that's what's going to happen if you put that construction in down that. Those are all small businesses. There are no big named ones. They're all small businesses, and they've just recovered from COVID. And now you're going to put a construction site in there and take away their business because no one will walk down there. They won't be able to get across the street. And we already have problems with the high school kids running across the street, in front of cars, which, causes its own problem. And we've had police officers have to stop people from walking down in the middle of the street because, that's going to cause that problem even more when you put in the bus lanes, because where are the people going to walk? And so I'd like to put a nay in for that, for not putting in the road diet.
Thank you. Again, city manager, could you release an issue to council explaining the process that was explained earlier, just so we could have those that we're not restricting lanes and that none of this is happening? If you could please send us a memo on that again, I'd appreciate it. Next up, our speaker is Derek Logan. Derek, again, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mayor Harkey, Vice Mayor Orlando, council members. My name is Derek Logan. I live in Lot 96, Pine Lake Estates in Chandler. I was brought here because of hearing about the road diet, but it just got me thinking about all what's going on and where the future is going. I moved here 33 years ago. I love Chandler. I love where we've gone, where we've gone since then. We certainly have developed a great city. You guys have been doing a great job, and all those before you, really appreciate it. So now where are we going? And we may say, well, this road diet's not going to be 2045. We won't know about it for 10 years. But MAG is thinking about it now. Obviously, there's already stuff out there. What are the draw for this? They might say, well, you got all this high density, ultra high density housing, like the proposed housing in the northeast corner of Pine Lake, just north of Pine Lake off of Ocotillo Road. So the thing is, so let's not build. My wish for you guys is, please, let's not try to build massive ultra high density pockets throughout the suburbs where people have moved because they wanted to be in the suburbs. Let's keep the city, as a city. Let's keep the suburbs as a suburbs. We won't have to worry about this mass transit, which really, when you look at it, is a per person per mile or per time. I mean, do they really transfer that many more people? They really don't. I mean, especially if you have dedicated lanes. I mean, even like the light rail. So let's just, what's the plan going forward? What can we do? What can we do now? Can reach out with MAG, start talking to them now, not wait 10 years from now for them to come to us with a proposal. What can we do now? I know you can't answer that right now. That's just my thoughts for you. And if you want any support, please let me know because I've worked a lot in transportation too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next person, Jeff Caldwell. Again, sir, please state your name and address. You have up to 3 minutes to share your thoughts.
Jeff Caldwell. I'm a resident of Maricopa County. Originally, thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity and council members. Originally, I wasn't going to speak, but it was concerning to me with the mayor, who's also a member of MAG, standing outside requesting for us not to speak on this issue because it's not on the agenda. And so that's a huge red flag to me as an average citizen, and it compelled me to speak. But from a previous presentation we saw earlier tonight, because of decades of planning and what has helped out residents of Chandler to cut down on their costs, we have planned decades into the future on what's going to happen. And so this plan, I congratulate you guys and thank you guys very much for not moving forward currently with road diets. However, MAG shouldn't even exist, and these types of decisions should be left up to the city and the residents on how they want their city run. And so with that being said, I just wanted to get ahead of the curve because road diets will cause more pollution, to add on to Janet's comment earlier, because you have more congestion and more CO2 emissions from cars in the future. So I do greatly appreciate you guys taking a stand right now, but this is something that is very serious and that we need to get ahead of. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor,
Councilmember Harris.
I want to just talk to Josh for a second. I'm just going to echo the sentiments, what Mayor have already said, to put the press release out that we're not doing that, because we keep hearing people share the same thing, that what we're not doing, don't do this, but we're not doing it. But we keep hearing them say, don't do it, but we're not doing it. So I think having a clear to send to our residents in the city of Chandler, that they'll know we have the city scope. We do inform our community through social media and various other ways that we inform them. But I keep hearing people saying, don't do this, and we're not doing this. And I don't know how many times we need to say it, that we're not doing it. But if you could please just let everyone know that we're not doing it, get the press release done, whatever that needs to look like, so we can do it, so we can move forward, so we can stop saying,
So we
stop
can
doing
not do
something. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Josh. Our last speaker is Linda Hamilton. Again, please state your name and address. I'm sorry, Marissa, I'm very sorry. Yeah. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Marissa Hamilton. I am a resident of Maricopa County. I did not realize I signed up, but I will just add to this the commentary on the road diets. I understand that you are not doing it. However, there is this unelected bureaucratic entity that you are associated with called MAG that is constantly trying to ruin our cities and ruin the ability for the people to be able to have self-governance in their local government. I would encourage you to discontinue your relationship with this entity. This entity is hostile to self-governance. It is hostile to the people. They do not care about the relationship that we, the people, have with our elected officials. They are here to disrupt that. They were created in 1960. The government actually calls it coercive federalism. We need to end coercive federalism, bring us back to self-governance, where we, the people, have a direct relationship with our elected officials, and we make decisions together about spending and taxation and roads. So I just want to thank you for making a definitive statement on this, and I encourage all of the other cities in Maricopa County to do the same. And it is my wish to see the councils of government in Arizona cease to exist because they are no longer needed. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next on our schedule is we have current events, of which I will be starting. I do want to wish everyone a very happy Memorial Day. And I hope that this weekend that you take time out from the family, the barbecue, whatever you're doing, to reflect upon the reason that we are celebrating, the fact that we enjoy so many rights today and that a price has been paid in order that we can enjoy them. We appreciate the work and those who have died in defense of our great nation. Memorial Day was started during the Civil War, when Americans would bring flowers and other items to graves of those lost in battle. So speaking for council, and perhaps other wills too, so speaking for myself, we will never forget the sacrifices of those who have lost their lives to preserve our freedom. Two other announcements I'd like to make is really a big congratulations to Micah Miranda, our economic team, and the city of Chandler, as Chandler is being recognized as the Arizona Chamber's 2023 Best City for Business. And this event, which will be coming up in early June, is an award given to cities and towns that show that they drive economic development through high quality of life and favorable business conditions. Do want to congratulate again our city staff who helped make this possible in Chandler. And many of us will be attending this award ceremony on June 6th. And then finally, at our last council meeting, we brought up some Hamilton High School students that were top of the state representing us related to a national economics challenge. Well, is that you in the back, Olivia? Yeah, Olivia was one of them. So they traveled east and came in 4th in the nation. And congratulations to you. Olivia is also one of our brand new Mayor's Youth Commission members that council you voted on tonight. So thank you for joining us. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. This last weekend, I had an opportunity to be part of the annual Haitian Flag Day, and I was able to read a proclamation of the 1803 Flag Day for the Haitian people. We have many of them that are living throughout Chandler and also all over Arizona. Those of you who don't realize it, Haiti was the first Black nation in the world to have taken its independence before anyone else did. The first Black nation from the French as a French colony. And from that place, Haiti went all over the world to help others get their freedom. And so, freedom for the Haitian people is innate in them. It's something they carry with them wherever they go. And wherever they are, they come to bring that peace with them. They come to bring that let's put our hands together and work together. The Haitian people, as they have traveled all over the world, and United States included, never come here to just only take. They come here also to give back and to help. They are not asking for a hand out, they are asking for a hand up. We do have a lot of refugees that are throughout the United States and also in Arizona currently. And those refugees, they are here legally. And those who are not legally, they are under the status of being a refugee. And for that matter, the city of Chandler, as we have stand to receive them and to help them thrive in this city. We have quite a few of them here, and we will continue to work with them as they go to school, as they provide a place for their families to live and to thrive right here in Chandler. And so we want to thank you, Mayor, for having given me that proclamation and for having given me the opportunity to spend the time. There were about 300 of them in a room on Saturday night. They were really happy that Chandler had opened a door for them to be here and to thrive. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Appreciate you all.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, okay. You could applaud. Go ahead. No, we're good.
It wasn't for you.
I know. I'm not that self-centered. I knew it was for her.
It was not for me. It was not even for me.
For her, Haitian.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
All right, we're good. It's all good. So On Monday, it will be Memorial Day, and as the normal event, Valley of the Sun at 9 o'clock. I'll be saying a few words on behalf of the council, and thank you for the honor, Mayor. But I do want to say a real quick thing is, if I had to present the flag many times to deceased, members of the deceased member of the military, and just recently I received one myself from my dad. And as we go forward this weekend, I want you to remember key words that we say during that little bit of discussion we have with the deceased member's family member. The words are on behalf of a grateful nation. Keep those in your mind and say thank you to a vet. And specifically, if you lost a loved one, keep reminding that, because without the support of the American public, the American military would not be where it is today. So, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Stewart.
Mayor, I don't want to follow that. That was powerful. That was powerful,
Councilmember
Vice Mayor.
Harris.
Thank you. Yeah. So I've got about 10 announcements that I want to go through real quick. No, but hey, earlier this week, I was able to go through a simulation training event with Commander Fayen and Lieutenant Shellham over at our world-renowned public safety training center. And I got to tell you, you want to talk about a professional group of men and women. We've got a video on our Facebook page, for the City Council Facebook page. You should check it out. There's some training exercises that we did. We've got an advanced simulator room that they train in from a company that's right here, an innovative company right here in Chandler. And so go check that out. But I got to tell you, folks, the investment that we made in that public safety training center was worth every penny. And I got to tell you, I had lunch with the chief this week, and we talked about some of the challenges that were faced, but we also talked about the successes that we're seeing. And once again, crime is down dramatically in Chandler, Arizona, and we'll continue to see those investments of adding police officers, adding firemen. That was part of our budget tonight that we approved to continue to make Chandler one of the safest communities in not just the state, but in America. So thank you, Lieutenant, and thank you, Commander, for having me out, and Team Chandler for doing the video. And, I got to tell you, it's pretty cool to see people come and address their government. That's what this is all about, right? It's 3 minutes, but you get to tell your elected officials, we are you to this body, to this government, and we're here to represent you, we the people. So it's just really cool to see this and to see people coming out and sharing what they think and where they want to see their government work for them. So thanks for being here tonight.
Councilmember Harris.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Just going to follow Vice Mayor. As a military veteran myself, have proud to serve, but also my father, I'll be mourning him over the weekend because he was also a military veteran as well. And he died from Agent Orange. He served in Vietnam. And so I'll be mourning him. And actually, my father passed away when I was 14 years old. He's been gone 26 years now. So I do know about that sacrifice, and I know that I'm grateful. It encouraged me to join the military and things of that nature. So we're military family. This is about those that passed away, and we're gonna all band together as brothers and sisters and salute those that left us, but definitely not going to leave those out of our memories. So with that being said, also, as you know, May is Armed Forces. There's a day, May 20th, we celebrate Armed Forces Day. So Vice Mayor and I had the awesome opportunity to gather to pay tribute to our veterans and active duty military. It was wonderful to hear the stories from our Chandler veterans. Dave from our commission, he spoke, he talked about his time traveling across the nation, and all these men and women are veterans, along with myself. Sorry, Vice Mayor, you was not there for that picture.
I had the other event I had to go to.
Yeah. So it was a really good turnout. And lastly, I wanted to make sure I take my point of privilege to talk about my beautiful daughter, who received her master's degree in digital audience strategy and with distinction. She graduated from ASU off the contract, so I'm a proud papa. I asked her to give me the pictures you want me to show of you, because I know. Okay, but I'm really proud of her because number one, she currently works for Disney right now. Good Morning America. She was an anchor for PBS for a while. She worked at several of the news stations here, and I couldn't be more proud of this young lady. So if you have a role open for my daughter, chief marketing something, she's definitely ready. And I would just say this last point, uh, as a family that kind of does media, and you appreciate this and you appreciate this. She's been on so many red carpets that most people only see, like the Grammys, the BET Awards, Oscars, and she's been able to participate in that in her journey in getting her master's degree. So it's just really been great just having her do some amazing things. And I can't wait to see what tomorrow holds for her, because she has a bright future and she graduated with distinction. So she did something even really good. She had great grades throughout school. So very proud. I'm proud of you. Love you. Thank you.
Councilmember Poston.
Well, congratulations. That's a hard act to follow, but you have a nice way of lightening some things up. And I would like to say thank you to Vice Mayor Orlando and recognize you and Councilmember Harris for your service. Like your words are kind of hard to follow and very moving. So thank you very much. I do want to recognize that today was the last day of school for our kids for CUSD. Driving around, I just saw kids everywhere today. It was great, and it was just fantastic. So wishing them a safe and happy summer. That being said, we talked about the summer slide before, and our libraries are putting on a summer reading challenge. I commend Council Member Ellis for jumping in and joining the challenge. I did go to a used bookstore, bought about 15 books, so I'm getting ready to jump into this challenge myself. I know you're ready too with all your technical nursing books. So
I own my own library at home.
but yeah, I do too. I added to mine. So that was very fun. And then just to continue sort of the summer tradition, we have great news from our downtown Chandler area. Even more so than Kim Moyers shared. Our Chandler Chamber shared an economic development update. They do that on a regular basis. And we had our very own Micah Miranda, our economic development director, and Kim Moyers actually speak to all of the great things going on with businesses here in Chandler. One of the things that was pointed out is that, one, I have some great facts here. We were shouting out our downtown before. But our 21-22 sales tax was the best year on record, that they've seen an increase of 57.4% year-over-year growth. And one really interesting fact is that, we used to have summers that would be slow. And now we're finding that our downtown businesses are seeing an increase in steady business over the summer. That's good for them. It's good for us. It's good for small business. It was just a great fact that I wanted to share. And then we have plenty of new restaurants. We talked about the Maple House. I'm going to give you a few more. Elliott Steakhouses opening, a couple of brewing companies, Roll 'em Up Taquitos and Crispy Cones. So that was great news. We got plenty of places to go and support those businesses during the summer. We've got over 600 new multifamily units coming into the downtown area. And then office, industrial, and retail lease rates all exceed the 5-year average. So we have great news in the city of Chandler for our businesses. I appreciate the information from both Micah and from Kim and the Chamber for putting that on. They do a great job of helping us share the good news that Chandler is doing in terms of economic development. Finally, just really quick, I would like to also give a little shout out to Public Works. There is this unsung gem, believe it or not. Did a little spring cleaning out the garage, dropped off junk at our solid waste facility there on McQueen and Queen Creek. They do such a fantastic job. It's something to be proud of. It's a great service to our residents. You've never seen such a clean facility that's taking your household hazardous waste, your landscape, all of that kind of stuff. So just a shout out to them for doing such a nice job. I happened to be through there today and appreciate it. And it's a benefit to our residents. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just very briefly, wanted to add to Councilor Poston's comment. It's actually also the end of National Public Works Week this week. So great time to bring up the many services they offer. Just wanted to commend John Knudsen, our director, and his outstanding team for all the work they do to keep Chandler looking fantastic and safe every single day. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Council, have a great weekend. We'll be back at work next week.